Welcome to PreMotion Inc. flight videos. This is a short 20 minutes flight to demonstrate the Autopilot and ILS landing abilities of the B-2 Spirit on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Last time we flew the same flight plan, but we couldn't get the transponder and ILS approach to work. We got in touch with the Top Mach Studios support and able to figure things out. It's a bit different from other planes we have flown in the videos. For the purpose of demonstration and better videos, we're not using VR. Our usual flights are run on VR with realistic cockpits with our simulation rigs, which includes motion and force feedbacks, haptics, and other realism, which makes the flights much more realistic and enjoyable. Check out our website for products that are fully built and delivered ready to hook up to your computers and monitors at home in the San Francisco Bay Area. Okay, this is the EFB pad. Let's turn it on for the map. The only thing here we need to enable is the nav1, which has the ILS frequency. You can also turn on the map. You can click on the radio/NAV option to see the ILS frequencies, as well as the squawk code that changes accordingly from the tower control. One very important thing for autopilot navigation to work is to make sure you have a clear, uncut flight plan. If you check the VFR map here, it should show a full flight path without any disconnection. Many airports has this issue in the simulator. Sometimes even the final approach path is not correct, which can cause ILS landing not to work. In the world map, you sometimes have to choose a proper departure pattern to have a proper plan. You can also create a manual flight plan in the FMC, but we won't cover that here. You can also see here in the flight management computer, the ILS runway frequencies are correctly entered automatically. Click the NAV button. That's 109.55 for destination runway 28 in San Francisco Airport. Okay, before we get started, let's key in the altitude for the autopilot. As this is a short flight, we won't be flying above 3,500 feet, although the ATC will be bugging us to get to 7,000 or higher, but we can ignore it. Click on the RNAV button and then lock altitude and enter the altitude value 3,500. The speed is already set to about 240 knots max or so. Once we are airborne, we will activate the autopilot and auto throttle. The B-2 is a beautifully built stealth bomber. Due to that stealth aspect, the surfaces are not typical to most airplanes. Due to that, the control surfaces are all controlled automatically through fly-by-wire. No need for manual input of flaps, rudders, etc.
Caution, caution.
Okay, parking brakes off, full throttle. We will take off around 120 to 140 knots. Then once airborne, we will activate autopilot above 600 to 1,000 feet or so. Make sure you don't wait too long to enable autopilot. The more you move away from the magenta line on the VFR map, activating autopilot navigation won't work. The plane won't catch the flight path. If that happens, in our case, it will this time. To turn off the autopilot and manually turn the plane closer to the magenta path and then activate again to catch it. Okay, landing gear up. Then we will activate the autopilot navigation on the FMC. We have to click the FNAV button and turn on master as well as NAV lock. And also lock the auto throttle. Sorry, just like I mentioned before, we moved away from the initial path, magenta. Now we have to deactivate the autopilot and turn around manually to catch it again. I'm just turning the auto throttle on, so don't have to worry about the speed. But keep the autopilot master and navigation off for now until we turn around and close to the magenta path.
2,800 feet, climbing 12,000 feet.
Promotioning 7007 heavy, NorCal approach altimeter 30.16 radar contact, continue. Promotioning 7007 heavy, reset transponder. Squawk 0001.
You will notice if you look at the VFR map, the magenta line on the runway is gone. That means you're far away from the path, and it will only activate if you get close enough. Once that happens, we will turn back the autopilot navigation. I'm maneuvering the plane manually to get it closer.
Promotioning 7007 heavy, please expedite your climb 12,000 feet. Promotioning 7007 heavy, reset transponder. Squawk 0001.
There you see, the path lit up again in magenta, which means we're close enough and can activate the autopilot and navigation. Make sure the navigation is set to GPS in the FMC. Whenever you see a closed parenthesis, which means you have locked that option. Next important thing is the transponder. Looks like there's an issue with our transponder from the tower control communication. This has to be activated manually in the IFF option in the FMC. Click the IFF button and then click 3C. This will make sure the transponder is enabled and not off. If you don't do this, the ATC will repeatedly tell you that the transponder is malfunctioning and eventually terminate all communications.
Contact 3 miles southeast of San Jose, 3,600 feet. Altimeter 30.15.
Roger, pre-motioning 7007 heavy. NorCal approach, pre-motioning 7007.
So again, we can see here master is enabled.
Request clearance to
Navigation is set to GPS. Auto throttle is enabled. Navigation is locked and enabled. Altitude is also locked. Click on altitude on the left, and in the submenu lock the altitude. We already did this before our flight, so all good. You can see the flight is following the path perfectly now through autopilot. It might be slightly off, but that's normal as long as it follows the path. Once we clear these hills, then we can reduce altitude to 3,100 feet and reduce speed to about 170 knots or so. 3,100 feet is the ILS approach altitude at a human waypoint. This is usually the pattern for all the planes landing on runway 28 left and right. From the human waypoint, it is about 10.1 nautical miles, and that's the right point to activate the ILS landing to catch the glide slope. If you want to know more about the ILS information, Google, download a runway airport map of a specific runway, which will show all the frequencies and slope and other information, and also the missed approach patterns. Now in reality, pilots don't usually input a specific runway because you don't really know the traffic when you arrive, and the tower will usually give you one at that time, and you punch in the frequency information manual. Those are the bomber bay doors of the plane where the bombs are dropped. It can carry up to a 30,000-pound bomb or several smaller ones. By the way, I was told that the B-2 Spirit in real life doesn't have auto throttle. Most of the engineering of the B-2 Spirit is a secret, and even the layouts are approximations from pictures and other unofficial information. But it's the closest approximation, and I think they did a pretty good job. Okay, it's time to reduce altitude to 3,100 feet, which is our final approach altitude, and then also lower our speed.
Pre-motioning 7007 heavy NorCal approach altimeter 30.15 radar contact. Continue to DLMDN.
NorCal approach pre-motioning 7007 heavy. Request clearance to transition Charlie airspace.
Pre-motioning 7007 heavy NorCal approach. Cleared through the Charlie airspace.
Cleared through Charlie airspace pre-motioning 7007 heavy.
You can see now altitude and speed is decreasing.
Approach at Oakland. Polaris 1774 heavy, you are 3 miles northwest. Climb and maintain 6,200 feet. Expect ILS runway 30 approach via MISHN transition.
So, if you're familiar with San Francisco, we will be flying over the bay, crossing 2 bridges, the Dumbarton and then the San Mateo Bridge, the longest bridge in California.
Climb and maintain 6,200 feet. Expect ILS runway 30 approach via MISHN transition. Clear to MISHN Polaris 1774 heavy. Pre-motioning 7007 heavy contact NorCal approach on 134.5. Good day.
134.5 pre-motioning 7007 heavy. Goodbye. NorCal approach pre-motioning 7007 heavy 3,100 feet.
Pre-motioning 7007 heavy NorCal approach altimeter 30.15 radar contact. Continue to DEII.
We have to really appreciate the pilots who fly these. The last Middle East mission was 36 hours nonstop with only a little non-private toilet at the corner behind to relieve yourself. Talk about pilots who fly planes for hours without complaining not being in first class. I constantly complain, even in premium economy, if the flight is any more than 6 hours. Okay, time to reduce speed further down to 150 knots, landing speeds. Either way, we will disable auto throttle once we catch the glide slope and keep it below 150 knots. There's a bizarre thing that happens. When you try to reduce speeds below 170, the auto throttle doesn't respond. Seems like a bug, so that's fine. We will disable it soon anyways. So like I mentioned before, at Heman Waypoint, we will activate the ILS approach. We will get the landing gear down now. You can see the 2 runways ahead of us. Runway 28 left and right. We will be approaching 28 left. We may not get clearance to land, or right before landing they may ask us to go around if it's too busy. But for the sake of the video, we will ignore and land and then park. Not they tell us to click on the ILS button on the HSD. Not sure if that does anything. Unlike other planes, you don't really see that magenta/pink diamond, but we will activate it anyway. But the real activation will happen soon when we reach Heeman Waypoint. We're almost there. Okay, time to activate the ILS in the approach. For this, change the navigation from GPS to ILS1, and then lock the approach. How you will immediately see the plane catching the glide slope nose down, and the altitude will start decreasing slowly. Let's cut the auto throttle and manually reduce speed to below 150 knots. It's a bit tricky to reduce speed on approach/landing due to the structure of the plane and also nose down and no manual flap control. The speed will reduce much slower even at idle throttle. So, to remind again, we're not doing anything. The plane is on ILS approach and will land automatically. We'll just flare a bit as usual, just before touching down. All the air brakes are automatic after touchdown. Only apply the wheel brakes. The green ball here shows when the slope is perfect. If you're doing this manually, then you adjust accordingly up or down to get the green ball.
Altimeter 30.16 when 2907 at 14. Fly straight and runway 28 left. Promotioning 7007 heavy no reform for landing. Follow the aircraft on final. Wind 2907 at 14. Caution the Airbus A20M landing runway 28 right.
Okay, about to touch down, flare bit, and then on touchdown, throttle to idle. Brake.
Frontier Flight 3019er Heavy go around. Qatari 737 Heavy contact ground on 124.25. Frontier Flight 3019er Heavy contact NorCal approach on 135.1. Good day. Promotioning 7007 Heavy contact ground on 121.8. 124.25 Qatari 737 Heavy. Goodbye.
Okay, that's the flight. No more commentaries. You can watch till the end to parking if you prefer. Check out the other videos of the famous Concorde, Antonov 225, Airbus A380, and more. See you soon again. Happy flying from Pre-Motion Incorporated.
7007 Heavy taxi to General Aviation parking via taxiway Bravo, Quebec, cross runway 10 right uniform, cross runway 10 left uniform, Charlie, Charlie 1 Zulu.
Taxi to General Aviation parking using taxiway Bravo, Quebec, cross runway 10, right uniform, cross runway 10, left uniform, Charlie, Charlie 1 Zulu, promotioning 7007 Heavy.
Promotioning 7007 Heavy, hold position, caution, the Boeing B748 on final.
Hold position pre-motioning 7007 Heavy.
San Francisco ground American